people like when we ask questions, but people love when pros ask questions of other pros. So this is part 4 of our new segment for 2020 called Pros Asking Pros Questions. And our first one is going to be coming from none other than your buddy, Collin Johns.
Hey Frank, my question to you is, what are some singles drills and techniques that you use to get yourself better at singles, without giving away any of our secrets, of course? And how can we make singles more popular in general?
That's a great question, and yeah, don't worry, Collin. I won't give away any of our secret drills, because we have some top secret drills that we really don't want to give away. But in general, you really want to work on your foot speed, because you want to be really light on your feet, and you want to work on to improve your singles game. What you're looking at is playing with margin, right? Because if you can, my whole thing is outlasting my opponent. So keep the ball in play. Don't make any silly mistakes. Just keep working hard. Stay mentally focused. I feel like mentality is one of the biggest things in singles. Is you're out there alone. There's nobody to talk to. Everything's your fault, right? That can get pretty negative pretty fast. So you got to work really, really hard and be able to work really, really hard physically. But the mentality side comes first. So I would say forget the self-doubt and just literally try as hard as you can every single point, no matter what. I don't care what the score is. And focus on heavy margin. Now, I want to focus a little bit on the last part of this question, which I think is a fantastic question, is how can we make singles more popular? I think that the number one thing that we can do is we can spotlight us playing. Guys like me and Collin playing, Ben and Tyson playing, all the top players, Kyle playing, like if we can get it out in public and people seeing it, it'll naturally grow because it's very exciting. And the singles game is actually evolving a lot faster than people realize. Like, I actually think that the singles game, people think that traditionally it would be like short points, like 3 or 4 shot rallies. But when top 5, top 10 players play each other, or playing each other, we're getting rallies that are like 10 plus all the time. So it's getting more and more exciting as the level goes up. So I think exposing people to that is number one. And number two, I think that there's a lot of people, like more old school people in pickleball, who still think that singles is boring and it's just kind of a shot making game, which is not the case anymore. It has changed, and I think those people should watch more singles to kind of see that it's changed and give it the respect that it's due. But I think that within pickleball, there are some people out there who will say, "Oh, I think pickleball is a doubles game, or doubles is just better than singles because it's more creative, or it's more whatever." I don't really think the reason's important. I just think that why would you limit the growth of pickleball to just doubles? Like, tennis doesn't have just singles, So I think that the people who are, just because you're not a great singles player or you don't like playing singles, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't help, not only not help promote singles, but put down singles. Because if you're putting down singles, you're putting down pickleball. It's a part of pickleball. So I think that could really help to get people to speak positively about pickleball, even pickleball singles, even if they're not singles players themselves. Because if somebody off the street or in the public hears a top pickleball player say, "Oh, pickleball is just a doubles game, it's not really like singles," that's going to really affect the sport as a whole, because you can use singles as an entry point. It's like me, like I prefer singles, to doubles, but I'm not bashing doubles. I love doubles. I think doubles is great for the game. I think it's great for the world. So I think that those are the two things that come to mind for me to answer that question.
This next one is going to be from our buddy Josh J.
Frankie, how's it going, my man? Congrats on all the success you had in 2019. Curious how you plan out your year now that you actually have some decent players to practice with up in the Northeast. For a while, you were really the only guy up here, and you'd go to Churchville and play with bums like myself. So How does that allow you to practice differently and work on your game now that you got the likes of Ben and Collin and Paul and others up here in the Northeast?
Yeah, so it's good to see you, Josh. Thanks for asking the question. It's been too long since I've seen you, so hopefully we can get together soon. Yeah, I think that it was, I could talk a little bit about the past, and it is crazy to think about, because I started playing in this area when I was the only 5'0" for miles. And Eddie, I think Rob Cassidy was the closest 5'0" to me, and he is like 500 miles away.
Yeah.
It was basically in the Northeast. It was just me and Cassidy for like years. And now, it's great to have these other players, because it was hard to get good, by yourself. Like, I mean, a lot of times I did crazy stuff, like at rec play. I wanted to work on my backhand drops, right? So I would just, in doubles, I would just stay back at the baseline and just hit drops and see if they would just keep hitting the ball to me. Because if I go up the net, nobody wants to lose, so they're not hitting the ball to the better player. So I would do creative stuff like that to get better. And now, like, to have access to, especially like Collin and Paul, who are great singles players, to have access to them. I mean, Collin and I will go grind it out for like 5 hours sometimes, doing drills and singles practice. So to have someone who can not only hang with me and we can make each other better, I mean, there's nothing like it, and I'm super, super fortunate to have that opportunity. And I think I would give that, between Collin and Paul, a lot of credit for my success last year, with making each other better, but giving me the ability to be challenged, because that's all I really care about, right? That's what I was talking to you about earlier, is flying across the country, not knowing what I'm doing playing pickleball, to expose myself to good players, because I want to compete. I want the challenge. Like, I want to get better, but you need to be challenged to get better.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I like it. Good question. Good answer there. We actually have another one here from Josh J that I'm going to play here now.
One more question for you, Frank. Curious how you approach a match against Ben and how that differs from how you approach a match with Tyson. I'm talking about singles and strategy and how you prepare and your game plan going into those two matches. Thanks.
All right. Well, we're getting a little heavy on this question. So I'm pretty analytical. I actually study pickleball quite a bit, and I focus on singles. So I know both of their teams pretty well. But I will say, I played Ben in rec play a lot more than I played Tyson. Actually, the first time that I played, Tyson and I have played some practice games and rec plays over the years, but the first time that we met in a tournament was last year. And we actually met 3 times last year. So I played Ben, I think I played him both the same amount of times, and I don't have the best record against either of them. Personally, let's start with Tyson. When I'm playing someone like Tyson, I know that it's going to be a battle because he's in better shape than I am. I mean, I'm one of the fittest guys at pickleball, I'd like to think, and he's better, in that regard. So I think that I know that it's going to be the type of match where it's going to be a grind. It's going to be physical, which I like, what I mean? So that's a good thing for me. He has a lot more racket skill than I have. So I want to be prepared to make sure that he's not able to use those skills as often as possible. I want to put my best shots to his worst shots as often as possible. If you watch, I mean, we played twice at nationals, and the first match was a little more competitive, but the bronze match at nationals, I really struggled with getting my returns deep. So that's something that I really want to focus in on Tyson, is getting my returns deep, because his basket shots are really good. And one thing to keep in mind about me is these guys, Ben and Tyson, are both pretty tall. I know that Tyson doesn't look very tall standing next to Ben.
Yeah.
But nobody does.
Nobody does.
Yeah. But I'm 5'7". These guys are both over 6 foot. So passing shots can be a problem for me if I don't. I typically I've got good speed and anticipation, so I cover the net pretty well, but I am susceptible to passing shots. So if I don't keep my return deep against Tyson, he's going to pass me every single time, and that's exactly what happened at Nationals. Is I didn't keep my returns deep, and he passed me every single time. So against Tyson, I want to be ready for the battle. I want to make him battle, and I want to avoid giving him the opportunity to pass me easy. I want to make it just as hard for him as it is for me. So I think that's good on Tyson. For Ben, not to say that Ben's a good matchup for anybody. I don't want to imply that because he's a horrendous matchup for literally everybody. But if I had my choice, I would rather play Ben than Tyson because Ben is a better matchup for me stylistically. I also have played with him a bunch. I know his game a little bit better. Now, that's, again, not to say that he is anything easy. He's the best player in the world. So it's always going to be a challenge. So against Ben, I want to play him as physically as possible, make the points long, grind the points out, limit his opportunities to approach the net. I want to use really good variation in all my shots, and to be as unpredictable as possible, but also mainly just remember that, if I make it physical, I have a chance to win long points, as long as possible, good shot selection, and just have confidence that the matchup is going to allow me to have opportunities and not to force the opportunities. Where against Tyson, I may be more apt to take more risk because it's not a great stylistic matchup for me. With Ben, I really shouldn't be taking risk because my natural game style versus his natural game style should create opportunities for me over time.
Next question actually comes from our buddy Scott Golden.
Frank, I'd like to see if you could tell a story of when you first came to Birmingham, Alabama to play pickleball with our group, and you were able to beat me and my twin brother Chris 2-on-1.
So you went down to Birmingham, Alabama, and it took on Scott and his brother?
Oh, man. Yeah. Okay, Scott, great question. And I'm surprised that you want me to share this story publicly. But I'm excited to tell it because it's hilarious. So, yeah, I traveled for work, like I mentioned to you earlier. And I was down, there's a huge Honda plant that we do some work with. And I was in the area. Scott saw that I was in the area, got all over me. He's like, dude, you got to come play. Let's come play. And I was like, yeah, sure. I love pickleball. Let's play. Played with Scott, his twin brother, Chris, and another good friend, Ryan Sheffield, the Rhino. Awesome dude. And we played some doubles matches, whatever. Towards the end of the night, we still wanted to play. And Scott, he likes talking, so he started talking. And we started talking about, like, if I could beat them 2-on-1, me playing full court. The only benefit for me is I get two serves, But I'm playing full court. They're playing, whatever they want to do. And I was like, I'm down to play. I want to get a little singles practice, whatever. So we played. And I think the way we had a couple different side bets going on. We had a Nasty Nelson side bet going on, and that was pretty funny because I think I got between the two of them. I tagged them with Nasty Nelson 3 times throughout the night, which was pretty funny. But they, and then the end of the night, we're playing 2 versus 1. I think I lost the first game to 11, and then I think they started talking again, and they're like, all right, well, let's put money on it, whatever. And I was like, all right, I'll play one more. We played at 15, and we put some money on it, and I ended up beating them like 15-10, 15-11, something like that. And I ended one of the matches by Nasty Nelsoning Chris, Scott's brother Chris. And I have to give him credit, Chris and Scott. If you guys are out there, you guys pay your bets, and you're good, honest people, and it was so much fun just playing with you guys. But that was a good night for me.
Yeah. That sounds like a lot of fun. 3 nasties in one night, huh? That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Next question we have from our buddy Wyatt Stone.
Hey Frank, just wondering, what off-court training do you do to prep for tournaments?
Hey Wyatt, what's up, man? Good to see you this weekend in Mesa. So I do quite a bit of off-court training. I exercise every single day. I really focus in on leg workouts because I really, that's the most important part of my game, right? So I really want to have as much movement and flexibility, and I want to be super agile on the court. So as much as I can do to work on my explosiveness, a lot of lunges, jumping exercises, that sort of thing. Oh, I do yoga as well for flexibility and balance. And then other than that, I really, probably more than most people, I focus in on core exercises. I do core exercises every other day because I used to have a really bad problem. I have pretty bad posture in general, but my lower back used to be a huge problem. I typically would get 3 or 4 matches in or less, and my back would just be dead. It would be on fire. I wouldn't be able to compete. I wouldn't be able to move. And then about a year ago, I would say January of last year, 2018, 2019, I started doing the core exercise, and it basically cured my lower back pain. I don't have lower back pain at all. So I highly recommend if you have back issues to give that a try. But I would focus, you're still young, Wyatt, so don't overdo the legs. Make sure the flexibility that you get now, if you keep it up, it'll last throughout your life. So work for the flexibility side first, and then build the muscles is the way that I would recommend to do it.
We actually have a couple more questions here. We had a lot of pros asking pros questions tonight. Yeah. And this one is from our friend Irina Tereschenko.
Hi, Eddie and Webby. Hi, Frank. How are you guys doing? Frank, I watched a ton of your singles matches, often while playing in my own singles match, and I just watch you get to every ball, the crowd goes wild, and the opponent's frustration builds up. So my question to you is, how are you so fast?
All right. Well, good to see you, Irina, and congratulations, the PPA Mesa inaugural champion right there. So she played really great, and it was good to watch you play singles over the weekend. To answer your question, I don't know how I got to be really fast. I never, I honestly always remember being fast. Even as a little kid, I was just always fast. So I think that I'm lucky. There's a lot of genetic predisposition to that. I'm pretty fortunate genetically, like I mentioned before, but I do train, like I mentioned to Wyatt, I do work on a lot of leg strength and a lot of leg flexibility. And I think to highlight the one thing that you said about I get every ball, right? Like getting every ball isn't 100% about foot speed. Some balls I get are ridiculous that I probably shouldn't even waste the energy to get. But that's my mindset, right? That's more about my mindset than it is about my foot speed. It's about I'm getting every ball, okay? And you're going to have to deal with that because I'm going to get every ball. That's just the way that I play. It's more of a determination and mental decision that I'm making. So I think I had somebody ask me the other day a similar question where they said, how do you decide which balls that you go to and which balls you don't go to? And I said, I don't. I go to every ball. Even if I can't get it, I go to every ball. And it's just because I need that mental clarity to focus. If the ball is, if it's humanly possible for me to get the ball, then you'll have to watch me get the ball, and I'll try to make you hit it one more time to the best of my ability. So yeah, I think foot speed plays a huge factor in it, but not as big as the determination. And that's the thing, right? Is to play like that, you know, I'm not conserving energy. I do not conserve energy.
Yeah.
I need to train to have enough energy. like I played 8 matches to get bronze at nationals. You know, I would have had to play like 10 to get gold. So like I still felt, even after Tyson beat me pretty handily in the bronze match, I still felt like I could play. Like I didn't feel like, I felt tired because I played a lot, but I didn't feel exhausted. Like physically, like I could have kept going. I wasn't cramping or anything like that. So to play that style, you know, it's something that, you know, it's not going to last forever. It's not going to last my whole life. But while I'm in a good, you know, point in my life and I can train to be able to do that, that's what I'm going to do, because that's the way that I believe that it gives me the best opportunity to win.
Got one more question here. This is also another question from our friend Irina Tereschenko.
Oh, hey guys, I'm back. One more question for Frank. I know that at some point before pickleball, you were quite a skateboarder, and I've seen some of your sick tricks. So can you tell us a little bit more about your skateboarding passion and what exactly can you do on the board? Thank you.
Yeah, so I miss skateboarding, man. You know, like it's something that I really was hugely passionate about, like in my past, and it's something that I do miss. I was, you know, a street skateboarder, so I would go to places like New York and Philadelphia and find, like, with our friends, we'd find like street skate spots, and we would do pretty much anything that you could do. Like my favorite part about skateboarding was it's such an expression of freedom, right? Like I loved going down Chestnut Street in Philly at like 2 a.m. when we were, you know, teenagers. You just go like 30 miles an hour and you're just cruising down the street. It's a very freeing feeling, and you're very connected to the earth, yet you're still flying. There's really not many feelings that are better than that. Having complete control via your feet with the board was really, like, you can really feel everything that you're going over. So I really missed that aspect of it. But yeah, I was pretty good. I think as far as like natural talent went, I'm better at pickleball than I was at skateboarding, but I was probably better at football. Football was probably the thing that I was the most talented at in my life. But I'm pretty good at pickleball now, so I'll be okay with that. But yeah, skateboarding was something that I hope to be able to skateboard again one day, you know, when things like slow down a little bit, because I really do miss that aspect of my life. And I was pretty good. Like, I mean, I don't want to say I was like great. Like I did have like a small, like, little sponsorship with S Shoe Company. I still wear shoes that I wore when I was skateboarding when I'm not playing pickleball, of course. So you'll see me rocking some SXLs most of the time. But yeah, it was pretty good. I could do like handrails. I could grind handrails. I can do 360 flips. A lot of stuff.
Well, we actually, you know, we have a whole team of researchers here at the Eddie and Webby show, and we dig deep into people's past. We actually came across a little video of you skateboarding, so I'm just going to go ahead and roll it.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah, that's a spot in Philadelphia at Toyo Tire Warehouse. Yeah, that gap is pretty big, and that was a 360 flip that I did over that gap into the ramp. That was probably about a 8-foot, 10-foot gap. I was skating there. I don't even know. That's on my YouTube. I remember putting that on my YouTube, but that must have been like 10 plus years ago. That's pretty cool to look back on that and see. There's no chance I would even try that right now. That would be so dangerous. Zero.
Pickleball addicting and fun, that's no joke. Pickleballing, it's not just for old folks. Pickleball.